We're live. We are live, and we have a bunch of people on already. Hey, Robert, Brad, MNS, Bob. I have the new setup here. Hey, Gabe, what's going on? I have a new setup here, and it's really kind of stupid. I was going to use the R word, but I can't because I can't see the chat. So I seem to get less and less efficient each time. Anyway, tonight I'm excited tonight because we are going to do a bunch of things tonight, right, Simon? Number one, this is going to be our first recording for our podcast. Which,
podcast.
Don't let me forget. There's a couple YouTubers that they'll probably be watching this on the rebroadcast. I want to give a couple YouTubers a shout out. A couple guys I met this week. Another couple guys have medium-sized channels like us that are pretty cool. And I want to just if you guys want to check them out, that would be great. And I'll do that like halfway through the show when Simon's on. And then we're going to talk about Rick Beato. Rick Beato, as if he doesn't get talked about enough anyway. And we're going to decide whether or not he deserves, and I don't like the word deserves, is he worthy of, what's a good word? Let's ask the crowd. There's your first chance for participation. What word should I be using here? Is Rick Beato blank a signature guitar? Does he deserve, worthy? Has he earned? Is that a good one? Has he earned a?
Okay, yeah. So I've got some thoughts. I've got some thoughts on this, Mark.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Why don't you start and you tell me what you think? Let's get right into it. No time like the present. Why waste people's time? There's 16 people that want to know what you think, Simon. Does Rick Beato did he earn?
Well, I've got so I think I totally get the point of the question and this whole situation, but I think we're thinking it the wrong way around.
Okay.
So guitar companies want to sell guitars.
Yeah, for sure.
So it doesn't matter to them if they have 15,000 different signature artists.
Right.
It doesn't matter to them at all. If they sell an extra.
Hence the Johnny Depp signature guitar, right?
Right. There's so many of them. There's so many signature guitars. And, so I actually bought.
You bought the Johnny Depp?
In all sorts of territories, right? Not Johnny Depp. No. But they make them in all sorts of territories, right? Bang, smashes the line. That was pretty good. This is a signature guitar, but I did mod it back to sort of normal. I can't remember exactly who the dude is. It's some Japanese dude. And so they had it where the pickup switch was actually not there, but here, which was really annoying.
Right, I can imagine. Yeah, you're going to fool with your tone knob, and all of a sudden you got different pickups going, or
So I basically moved the switch back up here, but it was it was $800 or something.
Can you imagine if they had the jack here? That would be crazy, right? Can you imagine if they put the jack there and the cord's running right over here?
Anyway, so this was a signature guitar, and
right.
I just picked it up cheaply, and I, whatever, right? I didn't buy it because it was, I think it was Futu. I can't remember his name. He's Japanese dude in some really famous band in Japan that I've never heard of. So I think they are genuinely, really, that's interesting. They are genuinely just trying to sell as many guitars as they can, and kind of does he deserve this, or is he good enough to deserve one? I mean, Marty, what's his name, has got a signature guitar, right?
Marty Schwartz says, I know Rob Scallon does.
Yeah, right. So, good for them. And I don't know, and I guess the Fender or the whatever, the guitar company go, well, look, this guy's got 3 million subscribers or whatever it is, and so if we sell 3,000 extra guitars, awesome.
Yeah, sure. I totally get that, and the video that I have coming out tomorrow is actually on this subject, and I avoided that because I agree. The number one thing that guitar companies do, but I will say that, for what it's worth, I feel like whether Gibson, lucked into it, I think that it's forward thinking of them in some respects. And I go as far as saying that Rick Beato is this generation's rock star, not rock star, but, music celebrity. Let's say that, because rock star has its own, on tour party connotations, but, as far as music personalities go, and I remember a couple years ago when he really wanted to get Peter Frampton and Gabe remembers, my buddy Gabe is on here tonight. He wanted to get Peter Frampton and he wanted to get Pat Metheny. And now artists want to get an interview with him. It used to be he was trying to get an interview with people. Literally, artists are dying to get an interview with him because they know that it's going to go out. And somebody mentioned about Davey 504. So, and I'm going to let you continue your thought, but I want to say one thing. The thing about Rick is not only does Rick have 3 million subscribers, but his, and I know everybody loves this word, but his penetration is far better than any of the other, Music Is Win or Paul David's. The amount of views he gets per video are enormously, just incredible penetration. And that's because he's really crossed over into lifestyle, right? Davey 504 has got his shtick with the slap bass and all that. And and I can't argue. Davey 504 has got 12 million subscribers, so, 4-1. I can't argue whether or not he's more popular. But I would say that for what it's worth, Beato is definitely more popular than 3 million subscribers. The views he gets, get it. Just the amount of people that know who he is.
Yeah. So I think with Rick Beato, I think he's actually been good for music as well. I reckon there'd be loads of people who he's like, it's almost like when I teach guitar, and I used to teach lots of kids, and they'd come in and they'd want to learn a certain song by, insert teen rocker, teen band here, but Taylor Swift or
the new Bruno Mars song has the guitar in it or whatever, right? Yeah.
Whatever it is, right? And you teach them that, and then slowly over your relationship, you develop a relationship where you're kind of teaching them different stuff all the time, and then because you've learned, I don't know, a Taylor Swift fingerpick song, you kind of go, oh well, this actually has got the same pattern as another song by a different band called Fleetwood Mac, and they've got this song called Landslide, and then and it's like that, and they go, oh, that sounds cool. And then suddenly you've introduced them to Fleetwood Mac, a band that they probably never heard of before. And then they go and listen to a bit of that. And then you lead them down sort of the music path, if you will, right? And I think that's what Rick Beato is doing, but just on a much bigger scale than I am, right? So, and I think it's a bit like having a sort of personal music consultant who obviously knows loads, about music, and he's a great guitar player, and he seems like a top fella, and who doesn't want to have their own sort of personal music consultant in their lives to kind of lead them to have a greater appreciation of something they love. I think that's
who's the singer? Who are you talking about as a singer?
Rick Beato. I was talking about.
He doesn't sing at all.
No, I didn't say singer. I said guitar player, muso.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. I apologize.
Yeah.
He's an unbelievable guitar player. Paul David's an unbelievable guitar player. What's his name? What's the guy's name? Tyler from Music Is Win. He's a great player too. They're all amazing players. They're phenomenal.
And I think they're just leading, they're just leading more people to more music, which I think is terrific.
He's almost single-handedly has changed the paradigm when it comes to like the music educator. You had a lot of guys like Corey Congilio and Jeff McErlin, these guys, and they all have channels, and they're phenomenal. I love Corey and I love Jeff, but they all have 15, 20,000 subs, the same size as we are. They don't have the impact that Rick has had because Rick is captivating. He tells stories, but he has literally brought an entire new generation rock music, people that hadn't, and I'll tell you personally, this is a true story, and there's only 20 people on here, so I'm not really spoiling it for the masses if the masses actually watch my video tomorrow. But this is a true story. I was watching this video. There are actually two videos. I combined them in one for the sake of my video, but one was called "I'm Sick of Your Excuses" and one was called "Why Not Me?" And the gist of one is, stop making excuses. There are people that do, and there are people that talk. And then I watched the second video that is, people are watching YouTube. Somebody has to make it. I'm good. Why not me? It's a very simple logic. So you know what I did? I watched that video. The next day, I quit my job. The next day I said, I'm giving my notice. I'll give 2 weeks if you want, or today, but I'm going to go be a YouTuber and I'm going to do music again full time. And he had already kind of got into my head as far as, I wanted to start teaching again. I remembered how much I enjoyed teaching. I wanted to start gigging more, but he really, not to be cheesy, but he's the reason I had the channel. 100%.
Yeah.
I literally didn't even really watch YouTube before him.
Yeah. And I just think, so getting back to the topic, does he deserve a signature guitar? I don't think really it's anything about deserving. Like, guitar companies want to sell guitars. He probably enjoys having a Rick Beato guitar.
Yeah, for sure. Why not? I'd like to have one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe one of the companies like that sell on Amazon, maybe they'll let me sign a couple of theirs.
Yeah, just like a little. I don't really know what I think about that. I wonder what the deal is. That's the thing that really interests me. And I wonder what cut he gets out of that. Or
he's giving 100% of his money to charity, to children's music charities. Yeah, he's not making a dime off of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's really, really cool as well. So, I think, who knows? I don't know. I watch him on the internet.
The people that are critical of him, most of the people that are critical of him, the bottom line is this: when he had, I think when I started watching him, he had about 150, 175,000 subs. He was already successful. And everybody thought he was great. He was cool. He's an older guy, gray hair, but he's, kind of pop culture.
Yeah.
But like anything else, when people get massive success, all of a sudden, people can't stand them. And I don't mind if people don't like him, but what really bothers me, I'm gonna name this guy. He's probably never gonna see my channel, but my least favorite channel on all of YouTube is this guy. Go watch him, and no, don't watch him actually, because that'll even give him more. But it's like KDH, and he's some Irish or English guy, and all he does is like slam, and he just makes up stuff, and he just he's a bottom feeder who feeds off the negative to get views. That's what it is. The real truth about Rick Beato's blah blah blah. He's the whatever you call the magazines at the checkout counter. He's that version of a YouTuber. But
National Enquirer, isn't it?
National Enquirer. Yeah, he's the National Enquirer. Yeah. This guy's like he is literally. He should literally get the word douchebag tattooed on his forehead. That's how much I like this guy.
Strong.
Yeah. Speaking of douchebags, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp has one. So here's what I think. And this is what I'm in my video tomorrow. I'm going to say, if Johnny Depp has done as much for the music industry as I have, which is very, very little. So if Johnny Depp deserves a signature guitar, then I think Spencer Tracy deserves a signature guitar. Spencer Tracy was a much better actor than Johnny Depp.
Yeah, but did he play guitar? I think that's the thing, right?
I don't even know if he played guitar. Daniel Day-Lewis.
There's loads of products, like all sorts of products that get attached to a name. You look at all these sort of actors and whatever have got all perfumes and aftershaves, and so I'm watching this thing, like a soccer documentary. These two North Americans bought a Welsh soccer club in like the really, really low grades. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McNally.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
They bought this Welsh soccer club, and like, I just love the whole thing. I can't remember what I was talking about that for, but I love the whole documentary. And it's just that they've got. Oh, that's right, because he's got a gin, right?
I watched it. Yeah, it's a series. It's a series documentary. It's actually a show. Yeah.
Yeah. But like there's loads of these guys that all have a product, and the product are happy to have their name attached to it because they just give themselves a bigger market. Like there was somebody said here, 3 million subs and free advertising, Tom. That's exactly right. So there you go. I guess, is that what we think about the whole signature guitar movement?
Yeah, for sure. It comes down to, you put the pen in my balloon by saying,
man.
No, it's all right, because it's all about money. Of course it is. They're going to sell a crap load of guitars. It's a cool guitar, and people that say I inspire them to practice. That really does. When I say that blows my mind, like there's a disconnect. Like I feel like I know if some of the YouTubers that are on here, Jeff and Sandra and Rick and Gabe, I know personally. But I know all these people. I feel like I know them. This day and age, where especially post COVID, where people are not traveling a lot. I may not go meet all these people, but I consider them to be friends. And but people will say to me, trepidatiously, they'll say like, you're like the YouTuber that I wouldn't call you a friend. I'm like, you can call me a friend, as if like they're offending me by saying, like, obviously you're like, I'm better than that, to be their friends. I mean, my wife rolls her eyes. She's like, you're an idiot is what you are, and it's true. I'm good at being an idiot.
Well, I think everybody has their moments, don't they? So first signature guitar, talking about signature guitars. So I had, go back to the beginning of this in earnest, Clapton Malmsteen models from Fender in the late 80s.
Wow.
But then there's one before that, the very
Les
first
Paul.
one.
Les Paul, right?
The
Yeah,
Les
it was on
Paul
that stock,
guitar,
yeah.
right? So the guitar companies have been doing this for a long time. Right?
I can't stop playing this. I saw that Marty Schwartz had, again, and I'll tell you. So here's my Marty Schwartz thing. You and I have had this conversation.
Oh,
so
be careful,
Marty is a pioneer. I mean, you have to give Marty credit when the rest of us were all. I mean, you were an early adopter, but me, in 2019, I still didn't even really know what YouTube was. Oh, you can watch. I don't have to like listen to a song 17 times anymore. Oh, really? They have digital tape now. You don't have to rewind stuff anymore. No, but so he's an early adopter. But the thing that kind of blows my mind is that he doesn't really, maybe he was just not meant to be a guitar player, but he's just you say like how he gets stuff wrong, and we all get stuff wrong, but he's just very clunky when he plays, he's just very stiff. And he was with Ed King. And it was funny because he's like, yeah, it's like, he's like, yeah, and it's an A. Yeah, I play an A. And Ed King goes, dude, it's a G. It's in G. And he's like, oh yeah, G. It's like Ed King is almost annoyed, like, who is this guy that's sitting in my living room? But yeah, I give the guy credit. Like I said, hey everybody, it's Marty Schwartz. I know 5 more chords than you, but I'm going to teach you how to play guitar today. He's not bad.
Loads of people play the guitar, man. Loads of people play the guitar.
He's taught a ton of people, right? I mean, people are.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. What an amazing experience for him.
Yeah, he's done a ton for people, so for sure. And he seems like a genuinely nice guy. I'll tell you though, when he was at Beato's once a couple years ago, and he must have been, he must have been crapping his pants, because I'm sure, they were going to just do like a live jam, and, Rick, who knows what Rick's going to pull out, or we're going to jam over, D augmented 11th, and Marty's, head would start steaming or whatever. So, but Marty did okay, and, but it was funny because Rick said, oh yeah, I've been watching your channel for years, as if like, Rick tunes into Marty Schwartz to figure out how to play Ramble On.
Maybe could happen.
Maybe, yeah. I love your positive attitude about that.
But I think it's interesting, because then that signature guitar that's a fair point that GDK Opinionator makes. But Les Paul was on his own model, in inverted commas.
Yeah,
that is a fair point.
Who else has had a model? Has anybody else had a model besides Les Paul?
Was the Chet Atkins model?
Correct, yeah. No, well, yeah. Chet Atkins did have a model. Yeah. You know what? I just thought of. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was going to say was that when you've got, I don't know, like a particular guitar that becomes synonymous with somebody, and then they are then producing one exactly the same with exactly the same scratches and all that kind of stuff on it, then I guess that is the signature guitar as opposed to the model.
Right. That's a great point. So let's talk about this. Let's do top 5. Because, I love lists. Top 5 guitarists, that are synonymous. Like, what guitarist is the most synonymous with, with this guitar? Like, what is the most, and not like Willie Nelson and whatever Trigger or whatever, he's got a name for his guitar. I mean, like a guitar model, like Angus Young and the SG.
SG. Clapton and a Stratocaster.
Clapton the Strat, yeah.
Jimmy Page and Les Paul.
Yeah, but it's funny because Page did a lot of Telecaster too.
Telecaster, yeah. Well, he's got a signature Telecaster, right? The one with the
Rory Gallagher. Rory Gallagher, became famous for that beat up. He only played that because he played that one guitar only. He played that. Hey, Wervel. He played that. Yeah, that's good, Sandra. Roger McGuinn and the Rickenbacker. That's a tough one to beat. That's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Stratton Hendricks, Stratton Buddy Holly for sure. I think right now, leading the pack as far as guitar and performer, I would say that McGuinn, or how about this? How about McCartney and the Hofner bass? That's a tough one to beat too.
Yeah.
I think that might be number one. I put McCartney at the top. Can you beat McCartney, anybody?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that is a thing that when you think of that thing, you do think of McCartney. But the other thing
Kurt Cobain and the Fender Mustang, right?
Yeah, I talk to students about when they're going to go and buy an electric guitar. Quite often they say, "Oh, what one should I buy?" And there's literally millions of them. Like you can buy lots of different things. BB King and Lucille.
Yeah, the 355 for sure. That's a good call, Jeff. Not just the 355 for sure.
Yeah, that kind of thing. What I was going to say? Oh yeah, so I think Eric Clapton playing a Stratocaster had a big influence on me getting a Stratocaster when I was a kid, because I thought he was great. And I was like, what guitar does he play? He plays a Stratocaster. It's on the front of his sort of best of timepieces collection.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Blackie, right? No, they call it Blackie.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, if I want to sound like Eric Clapton, I'm going to have to buy a Stratocaster. And I think that's where it comes from, right?
Well, I'll tell you one thing about Rick's guitar. I bought it, and it's
awesome.
It's tailor-made for me. It's a first of all, I like the 24 3/4 inch neck. It's super lightweight. It's got a really thin neck profile, and it's got P90. So, and I've been looking for a I probably could have got an Epi, but I knew he was coming out with that anyway, and I just figured, what the heck. I like the color, and I want to support him. And like I said, he's been supportive of me. The guy took the time to call me on the phone. Not only did he call me on the phone, but I figured it would be like one of those, him checking a box. I called him. We talked for 3 minutes. Now let me go to the next guy. We talked for over an hour. I actually had to get going. I'm like, man, I got to make dinner for my family. I got to go. But he was just very generous with his time, and and then it was. I'll tell you one funny thing. So he calls me, and I said, well, what, something or other. And he goes, yeah, if you ever need blah, 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 just get in touch with me. I'm like, well, how do I get in touch with you? He goes, well, call me or text me. I'm like, well, what's your phone number? And he's like, dude, I just called you. And I'm like, I figured that he had he wasn't calling me on his, I figured he was calling me on a burner, like on a, he's like, all right, I'm not going to call this guy on my phone. He's going to harass me. So I'll call him on, let me go buy a phone at Walmart, and I'll call him.
Yeah. Yeah. So, on this whole signature guitar thing, I think, it's obviously awesome for the signatories or whatever they.
Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome for the guitar companies. And I think if it was a genuine signature guitar that you went in and you were like, oh, well, I like this and this and this, that would be an awesome experience, right, as well.
That's what he got to do. Yeah. He literally said, I want this color. I want this type of guitar. I want double cut. He was able to pick every little nuance. The only thing that he wasn't able to get is he wanted, apparently he originally wanted P100s. I'm not familiar with how they differ from P90s. They're obviously they're a little different than P90s, and
they're just 10 better.
They're 10 better, right? Exactly. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. These go to 100.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's some other great comments here. Steve Vai and the Gem.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's a great one. And the Hendrix and the Strat, of course.
Did you know that Gilmour played the solo to Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 on the on a Les Paul?
Gold Top, right?
Yeah. And Eric Johnson played, the old that little Cliffs Dover thing. What's his face will be impressed. The riff I always wanted to get was this little.
Oh yeah, that one.
The end of the thing, blazing. But anyway, he plays the solo on the middle solo on the song. Yeah, here we go. So Gabe is stealing my thunder here.
Good, killing it.
There we go.
People
plays
know
it
stuff,
on a 335. He plays the middle part on a 335, the really fast part.
Yeah, right.
And they said that they wanted to, get a different sound, and they didn't even need to get a different sound just because the two different guitars already had, enough of a unique sound to them that, so Movies and Stuff said next stream should be best guitar solos. We've got a little time. What's your favorite guitar solo?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Here, I'll play a little bit of mine. I don't think these will get on. Okay. These will bump us here. See if anybody can name it. Gabe, keep your mouth shut. Let me think. Right? Close.
There you go. Pretty good. I like it.
Little Keith Charlemagne, right?
Right.
Another here. I'm so excited about my new Strat. So I'm going to put down my $4,000 Les Paul, and I'm going to pick up my $214 Stratocaster, which sounds amazing.
$214.
200. It was like 250, but. Was that?
Yeah.
So like. I'm trying to just like hear my way through it,
Yeah, no, that's right. So, my favorite guitar solo you got.
How's that? Not bad for just trying to like play through it by ear.
Bad.
Aqualung is great. Yeah, I got.
We're being accused of flexing here, Mike. You know that.
Here we go.
Let the cat in. Cat's not very happy. So ignore her.
Right, Aqualung. I can't really. I don't have that one too much. What do you got for me? You know a lot of solos.
Yeah, so I like simple ones, man. That often they just play the tune. So I did a video the other week about a great trick that I learned from Lindsey Buckingham off the Fleetwood Mac. And, where in the chain at the end where it's like, right? And it's all just sort of chilling out like that. Boom.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I love that.
And he just pedals on the E for ages.
Yeah, that. Right.
It's awesome. And then he's just going for
bigger and bigger and bigger, yeah.
And then
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I just think that's fantastic because it does exactly what the song needs, right? So for me, I guess the longer I've played the guitar, the less interested I am in guitar solos.
So, we're going to do another episode on this, and I'm going to do what's going to end up being a very controversial, I know it is a controversial video if anybody watches it. It's always hit or miss, but so every guitar player, right, and tell me that this is not the case, every guitar player I know, every single one, to a man, to a woman, says no, it's all about playing to the song. It's all about, minimalist. It's, the best time to play is when not to play, holding the notes. Everybody says that, right? But yet when people start talking about the best guitar players of all time, they throw it all out the window, right? It's not, forget that. Let's not worry about that now. Now let's throw out, Jeff Beck and are all blues-based players that improvise. Nobody cares anymore about all the stuff. It was all the junk they were talking about. They don't really mean it, obviously, because they always go for the same 12 or 15. And then you get guys like Link Ray. I mean, give me a break, Link Ray. So we get like a. I mean, come on, man. All right. So, he one chord. So, Edison invented the electricity. Should he get the credit for should he be the best electric guitar player? Right. I mean, that's just dumb to have him as like one of the top 10 guitar players. Can anybody even name a song by Link Ray?
Rumble.
I've
got a solo I actually like.
All right, go play it. Yeah, play it.
Let's just talk about what happens in it. It's so the first solo in Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits, I really like.
I love it. Yeah,
because he just outlines the chords all the time, right? So we start off. We basically it's D minor, right? The song goes like D minor, C, B flat, A.
Yeah, I don't want to play the rhythm for you because we're probably not in sync.
No,
so you go ahead and do your thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it into the looper here.
Okay, do it.
So we can kind of do all that sort of clever stuff.
Yeah, Comfortably Numb Souls. Absolutely, Zach. You're totally Comfortably Numb Souls kick ass. What am I allowed to say on here? Am I allowed to?
B. Right, so you've got all that kind of stuff in there.
Now,
he kicks it off with, he basically bends, so we've got a D minor. So you're thinking about and he bends from G to A, which is the fifth of D, right? Right? He's finishing there, that riff on
the next part kicks ass, yeah.
Because he's going bow, 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 over the C, ba-da-low, ba-da-low, and then finishes on the E over the A, which is the fifth of the A.
Right. Anticipating the next chord, yeah.
It's super, super awesome. So you get that. And then
That's good.
So, like there's so many clever parts in there where he basically plays that A major arpeggio and then D minor arpeggio over those two chords. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. That's a brilliant solo. The later, this half too, though, right?
Yeah, that's cool as well.
Was it right? Is it?
Yeah, it's killer.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's just absolutely brilliant. What a brilliant guitar player.
Yeah,
because his approach to doing that is so opposite from the way I first learned the guitar, because I loved Clapton and all that sort of stuff. My approach to that would be like, oh, I'm going to play a scale over that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that, something like that,
Hey, Simon, do this, Simon. Let's do this. We have a few minutes or a little bit of time, and we've got a bunch of people on here. I know some people are pretty good players. Gabe's an excellent player, and I know a couple of the guys on here are good players. A couple of them are more beginners. Let's give a little lesson, each of us. Give one piece of advice as far as soloing. If somebody is just, is mostly a pentatonic, does the, straight up, what would be the next step for a beginner to take? Where would you say?
Yeah, so I reckon just make sure you learn all those pentatonic patterns. That's a really, really easy thing to suggest, right? Because everybody knows that first pattern. Let's say we're playing in A for the people listening on the podcast. So I've got 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8 on each of the strings, right? So why not just, because a lot of people learn that and they think, okay, well, I've learned it. Well, learn the second position as well. And then the third position, fourth position, fifth position. That's a super useful thing to do. And then how you really integrate those into your playing is that you do this little exercise that I teach people all the time that I'm sure somebody else came up with before, but I teach this a lot. And I call it like the finite space exercise, TM. And so you basically pick a section from 2 adjacent patterns, right? So for example, if we're in the key of A minor, I want to play 5, 7, 9, 5, 8, 10 on the G and B strings. And I'm only allowed to play those notes. So, you have your backing track, and let's just put something together. Yep. And then you right? And that's a super great way of really getting on top of the slide and then being able to integrate the patterns into each other. And so imagine you do that all over the place, between strings 4 and 5 and, 3 and 4. And then in each pattern, that's going to be a really awesome exercise for you. So there you go. That's my thing.
And I'm going to piggyback off Simon. So another good thing about learning the different patterns, first of all, is just playing. If you're playing pentatonic, minor pentatonic 1, like that one right there. Okay. You're going to end up playing in certain patterns. So if you've got this one and you go to that, maybe rather than going, if you go to this, maybe you'll do something, little different, right? Or if you go up to here, something like that. Now, the other thing, 2 things on this. One is, I know a lot of, especially younger players, like to get some pace. I mean, everybody says, I don't care about how fast I play, but, a lot of players will judge one of their, some of their ability by their ability to navigate the fretboard. So there's a couple good exercises. The pentatonic does not lend itself to shredding because there's only 2 notes per string, right? If you guys really want to shred, do your scales, all your major scales like that. Now, if you want to do the pentatonic, you can do that in sets of 6. You can go, like that. And you can start picking up a little pace that way. Like that. Now, another thing you can do is you can walk back and forth through a part. You can do something like this. And that you can really get going. I'm not warmed up tonight, but you can imagine that if I actually knew how to play this thing, I could do that.
Yeah, so I like those as well. So I always thinking of little brackets where you can play, 3 notes. And then
your idea is better though. Minimalist is best. And again, look what you're doing. You're doing the opposite of what we say the best guitar players do, right?
Yeah.
You're finding sweet notes, good notes.
Yeah. And then, practice doing those 3s all over, whatever it might be. So I think that's a really, really cool trick.
Jeff, if you were in my house about 3 hours ago, you would have watched me. I've tried to do the Crazy Train solo, and so first of all, Randy triple tracks everything on that album. I don't know why. He found that triple tracking, people think that he used a chorus or a flanger. No flanger, no chorus. It's all triple tracked, and the things are out of sync, out of phase a little bit. But there's the last phrase of the solo is just ridiculously fast. And not only is it fast, but Randy can't even play it fluidly 3 times in a row, apparently, when he did it on the record on Blizzard of Oz. So there's actually 3 separate sets of notes that he's playing. It's near impossible to get. And I was watching this guy tonight that actually had gone through with the original recordings and had every little nuance of the solo. I mean, they're 16th notes at like 230, which is like faster than Eric Johnson. I mean, they're Yngwie fast, right? But also, like in one he's going, and the other one he's going like that. So it's just funny how everything together just sounds like this big wall of speed. Anyway,
that's cool.
All right. Yeah. So Orville says Frank Zappa was a notable soloist.
Yeah.
Frank Zappa. I'm not a huge Zappa guy. I was surprised that I didn't realize he died so young. He died in 93. He was only in his 50s. I guess he had got started really young. He was on the Monkees. He was on the show The Monkees back before he was even famous. But there's not really a lot of Zappa that I like. I love Peaches and Regalia. I love Willie the Pimp. That whole Hot Rats album is good. And I love Camarillo Brillo. I think that's just an amazing song. You're breeding a dwarf, but it wasn't done yet. I mean, genius. Also, listen to the instrumentals who work on instruments other than guitar. Miles Davis. Yeah. So it's funny, Gabe. I don't know what you're saying exactly. You're probably picking up somebody else, but the one thing I don't like on Miles Davis records, and it's really just Bitches Brew, is I don't love John McLaughlin's playing on that album. I mean, it's okay, but it creates a dissonance that doesn't exist in a silent way. I realize the album is different and that the keyboards, that Herbie Hancock playing keyboards on Bitches Brew. Who is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're getting a different vibe on that, but I don't know. I just find that whenever McLaughlin is playing on that, McLaughlin is superb. I've seen him actually a couple times. He's an amazing player. Really interesting stuff, but for me, it just doesn't do. He plays on Jack Johnson too. If you guys know the live album, Miles Davis album.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So,
but that's a cool, like this, that's a good idea to listen to other instruments and see what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, I understand what you're saying, Gabe. Now, yeah, that's a great idea. Nice.
Where you've got the do and then chord.
Yeah, great harmonies on that, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That weird harmony. What is that weird harmony, right? On that fifth one on Blue Train.
So what I was going for, but that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, you're doing so. I was thinking Blue Train. Ba-na-na-na-na.
Yeah.
Then he goes like this.
Which one?
So what?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But that's awesome. It's just got this cool D Dorian sort of vibe in there.
Yeah. So what Simon is doing right there, another interesting thing, and I think we're going to end with this. So it's really important granted, the Miles Davis, the quintet at that point in time, we're playing over, it was modal jazz. So there was a lot of room to spread out, right? There was a lot of interval, a lot of space, really all they were doing is modulating from D to E flat back and forth, through the entire solo. So there's no chord movement there. So it's really, it depends on the soloist to create the melody. But if you're working over a song that has a lot of changes in it, a great example of the solo to Something, you can play the same thing over and over and over again, and it sounds like you're playing something different because the chords behind you are moving. So as a general rule of thumb, if the chords are moving a lot, if the rhythm is busy, you could, repeat yourself, hold notes. You'll find, people will experience different intervals, over the same notes over different chords. If you're playing modal stuff, or if somebody's just sitting there going like just it's up to you at that point to create the melody. If the rhythm track is not moving at all. Damn, I wanted to give these two guys shout outs here. Give another thing, and then I'm going to try to find these two guys and give them shout outs. I said I would.
So little thing. So, well, we're talking about that there. Well, we've got this kind of cool chord. You basically put your first finger over the 7th fret. It's E minor 11. And then D minor 11, right? And so what you can do is, with some of this modal stuff, if you really know the pentatonics thing, you just add the notes that you need for the modal stuff into the pentatonic pattern. So, you know, so there's my D, there's minor pentatonic, right? And then you can add that one, the B note in there. So you already know the pattern, and you just add these notes in, and so you've got, instead of just playing your minor pentatonic, or put the modal stuff in. That's a good trick, isn't it? That's kind of cheating.
That sounds great. Yeah, all right, I'm going to give a plug to a couple guys. I don't know these guys well, but there's one guy, it's Ike Guitar. He's got a really funny video on the subject that we're doing here. Does Rick Beato deserve? He just does it totally tongue-in-cheek. And there's another guy that does one. His name is Tom. I'll make sure I get his last name right. I don't want to call him. Yep, it's Butwin. I didn't want to call him. If it was Botwin, I didn't want to call him Butwin, but it's Butwin. Tom Butwin. So check these two guys out. They're both YouTubers. You know, just if you're bored one day or you're looking for some different channels, the guy Ike, his name is actually John, and he's like I want to say he's like a stand-up comedian. He's got a really good, he's real funny, dry sense of humor. And Tom is a little more. Tom is like me, a little more kind of, you know, in your face, but not in a bad way. So, all right. I think that's
all
it.
Right.
Anything tonight? This was fun.
I think we nailed it. We nailed it. Then we were quite happy with Rick having his own signature guitar as the outcome of that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. I mean, like I said, the guy. The last thing, and this is in my video tomorrow too, is that he has earned everything he's gotten. This guy is a freaking workaholic. I mean, Simon and I know how hard it is to make videos. Videos are not easy to make, man. I'll tell you. You have to get an idea, then you have to film it and edit it and procrastinate about it. That's part of my whole ritual. Yeah. And there's a lot to it. And you know, Rick spits out 4 videos a week, and
there's a lot of stuff. Hey,
it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, and Simon does too. Simon puts out two to 3 videos every week.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's always stuff to learn, right? So what have I got coming up this week? I've got we're going to think about the AC/DC chord. Why it sounds massive. That sounds interesting. And then next Saturday, I've got a thing on All Your Love by Otis Rush, which is one of my all-time favorite blues standards. Do you know that one?
I know that one. I don't know a lot of old-time blues, but I know that one.
That's a great one. That was one of the first songs I ever learned for an audition when I auditioned for a band that I got into when I was a really whippersnapper.
So Simon, let's end with this. So what Simon, if those of you that missed last week or maybe tuned out near the end, Simon was talking about how he had an opportunity to play with like an A-list producer. He did a session, and he asked this producer, you know, what one thing could he do better, you know, to become a better player, to get these A-list session gigs. And what did he tell you?
Metronome.
Play to the metronome. Don't just talk about it. Don't just refer to it. That would be a fun thing to do. Do it. Yeah, do it. So 2 things we're going to leave you with. Play to the metronome and stop praising blues guitar players that just play extended solos. Good night, all.
Good night, everyone. Thanks.